Alright, in the last video, we had a Docker container running a Node.JS service, and we tried to get to it, but we were unable to. I'd like to explain what was going on there. So because of the way that we ran it, we didn't end up removing the container or anything afterwards, so that container is still around. So let's go ahead and look at that container, docker ps-a, because it is a container that is exited at this point. So the command that we ended up running was actually, let me grab it really quick, was this, or I probably left off the button, was this command right here. And so in this, we can look and we can see a couple of things. Okay, first off, we don't do anything to remove the container. I'll show you how to do that later. And the second thing, we're not assigning any kind of port for it to communicate back to the system with. So right here you can see that the port section is actually empty. That is going to be the biggest problem in what we did. So we want to revise this command a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is do a --rm. Now what that does is once you exit your running container, or any container really, it's got to be a running container. Once you exit anyways, it automatically removes that container for you. Obviously you're not always going to want this to happen, but in my case I don't want it to stick around. Okay, and then the next thing is a -p, and this is going to be where we're doing our ports. Okay, so this is going to look something like this, right? Where this is going to be our host port, host port, and this is going to be our container port. Yeah, container port. And so what we're doing is we're sitting here, we're mapping where it's going to show up on our host and where it's going to be on our port. So if we come back here, we can see we have it originally going on 8080, right? We can have it really opening on anything and then mapping to a different port on our host, whatever's available. So if you're running several of these, keep that in mind. But in this case, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I know in our container that it's going to be opening up on 8080. And then because it's kind of standard, let's just go ahead and open this on 80. So is what we're going to be doing. Oh, I put a dot here. This isn't a dot, this is a colon. So what's going to happen is previously when we ran it locally on our host, we went to it based upon the 8080, which is what the node service ends up spinning it up on, and that's what it's listening on. Well, in the container, it's going to be doing the same thing. It's going to be listening on that 8080 port, and then it's going to be routing traffic back through to the host on port 80. So let's go ahead and jump into this this image, or create the container so that we can see how this is working. So Node.js server. So this is now on 8080. So if we come back over here, let's go ahead and make sure, does 8080 work? No, it doesn't. However, if we change this to 80, hello, and the service is up and running. So this is exactly what we were wanting. Let's see here, go back in here. So let's go ahead and stop this, and we can see, yep, it stopped. Okay. So this isn't completely ideal either. I'm not out of it. Let's exit the container. Okay, now that I'm out of the container, let's go in here and go docker ps-a. We can see that this one's exited, but notice it didn't create a new one. This is still the same one that we had before. Because we added this --rm, this container right here with this ID was actually removed. So let's go ahead and do some cleanup here. Docker rm, do a force, because I don't want to deal with anything that's stagnant. Get rid of that guy, ps-a, and we're clean. Okay, so we could have also, or let's see, no, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is run this without actually having to jump into the container, because if we have to jump in the container, that limits us to having to run, or sorry, that makes it so that we're only able to run one container on a host, because of course we've created that session and we have to be in there and running it. So let's once again go ahead and modify this command here, right? First thing is we don't want it to be interactive. We just want this guy to run. We don't need to be involved. So let's go ahead and remove that. The next thing is over here, we want to do a -c. -c is to run a command. So, and we know our entry point is that Node app folder. So quite literally, we just want to run the command that we end up jumping into the server to run. So Node.js server.js, and we'll go ahead and run that. Run our server running on 8080. So now, if we come over here and look, yep, it's up and running. Okay, and so now we can come back in here. We can stop it. Let me check the time here. Okay, we're good on time. And so this still isn't the most efficient way to do this. We can see here that so this was the next thing I wanted to point out, was we just exited that, but the service is still running, right? So we had our terminal up, but the service is still running, so this is good. And we have exited it, but we haven't hit this rm command because the command here is still running. So right here we can see this Docker image is going, or Docker container, sorry, this is a Docker container. This Docker container is still running. It's been up for about a minute, it looks like. So ps-a, yeah, it's about a minute. So we can do another command here if we just want to stop it. Say we want to keep this around, so we don't want to remove it. So let's just do a Docker quite literally stop and give it the container ID. So that's going to go through and it's going to stop the container. Maybe. Taking a minute here. But this should shut it down. Let's see. Okay, so we're down. Come over here and check. And it's down. So now you can do the same thing, Docker start, that same, you know. Oh, my bad. This would have worked if we didn't have the remove command. Since it exited the command, we no longer have that container. Docker ps-a. Yeah. Alright, so that's to be expected. Normally, you can do a Docker start if you don't include this remove command. That was my bad. Okay. So here, this would actually probably be another good place to crop the video. So I'll be back in a third video.